record. What a relief to see Sarah Louise Ryan again, because usually it's in the flesh, and very often it's in a what do you call that? Where did we go? The stately home. That's where we're used to hanging out. Champagne bars and stately homes, and now we're reduced to Zoom. What's going on?
I'd like to add down to earth conversation in stately homes drinking champers.
So I wonder, so how long have we been in lockdown now? 2 months, 6 weeks, something like that?
I don't know. I think it's been 7 weeks, something like that.
Because I know I did an extra week because one of the guys who I worked with had the symptoms and I just self-isolated straight away. And to be honest, I kind of loved it because I got the space to do things and it was very, very familiar. But I'll tell you about that later because those are heavy dramatic stories and the basis of some of the work I'm doing. But before that, I want to know what's going on in the dating industry because people can't physically meet anymore. There are a lot of single people that need a kiss and a cuddle, or even just to hang out and look into eyes, or, you know, it's like, what's going on?
It's really interesting that you say, you know, a kiss and a cuddle, because, you know, we humans, we strive for connection and for belonging and to be around other human beings, whether it's romantically or not, and to not even be able to see our closest friends and our families. That has, obviously, you know, very closely with the groups of people that you chat to and work with. It can have a massive impact on how we think and feel about ourselves and our sense of belonging generally. But one thing I have seen, I've worked in the dating industry for almost 10 years now, and one thing I always see in adverse times and circumstances are singles looking for love when times get tricky, whether it's in the UK, we know all too well, politically or economically, anything that really tries us and tests us. We in the dating industry as professionals see a surge in people looking for love. So actually during this time, whilst we kind of were all getting our own heads together around what's going on, I thought about potential clients, current clients, and just those singles who live on their own, cooped up alone. And I just thought, what can we do and how can we do more in the industry to connect those people, even just for conversations, even if it's just for friendship, and hopefully something more will come thereafter. So in a nutshell, to answer your question, it's busier than ever before. However, we're also making that happen because we haven't been charging for our services. We think in this time it's felt like the right thing to do. It's not sustainable long term, but we work on a global scale, either coaching singles looking for love and wanting to pave their own way and figure that stuff out, or we connect people with love connections, matchmaking, who are pretty much global travelers for business or for pleasure or whatever. And so we just created a mission-free matchmaking, and we did that for 2 weeks. It rolled into 3, and then we just couldn't stop ourselves. But right now we're trying to do events just to keep the community going. And
so it sounds like you have been off service. There's a lockdown, people are freaked out, and you've decided to just share what you've got.
Yeah, pretty much. I just thought, if I can connect either on my own, but then I was asking the team, what can we do? And they all volunteered, and then
wow.
You know, yeah, they were like, you know, it's a combination of people wanting to keep busy and also wanting to help others who are really struggling with how they feel, what's happening in the world, how they feel about the world today, and just to be able to have a conversation with someone that hasn't heard you, you know, speak about what's going on in your life before. So we haven't focused it on dating, we've focused it around connection and meaningful conversation, and it's been incredible.
2 things crossed my mind with that. Number one is physical touch. And that's why I guess I said a kiss and a cuddle, and it might be more a cuddle. It might even be shaking hands, anything. But when people aren't physically touched, and there are a lot of people living alone, or living with flatmates that don't touch each other, or families that don't touch each other,
Yeah.
there's depression. Depression sets in. That's the first thing that really crossed my mind. And I wondered how many people are craving connection, physical connection. The second thing that crosses my mind is the way that you've enabled real connection. And a lot of people in the past have said to me of online dating that it's disposable. People are disposable and it's all about tick boxes. But it seems like what you've done is beyond the disposable and more into who are you? Who am I? Let's hang out. Let's connect as human beings rather than let's judge each other to try and get together and, you know, all of that. And my wish, my hope, and I didn't know anyone was doing this, is that the online dating industry or online dating itself suddenly drops into a certain depth of who am I, who are you, and where do we connect? Because there is the time and the space for it, and there isn't the physical drinking, rushing it, judging it, and moving on. So it looks like you've ticked the boxes on my list for my wishes for dating. You must be crazy busy.
We've seen around 100 sign-ups a day. For the past 3 weeks, we kind of petered down. We had a lot of press on it. You know, I guess in a time where the press were looking for feel-good stories, and we didn't do it for that. It just got picked up very kindly by the BBC, a few radio channels and whatever. And so we actually have seen singles sign up for connection in New York, South Africa, Singapore, all across the UK, mainly London, Manchester. And as of this weekend, just gone, we had something go out West Midlands, so around Birmingham. So generally speaking, we have been really busy in the UK, but have had connections in Canada as well. Yeah, it's been great. Had loads of people sign up in India.
Wow.
Yeah.
So word's getting out there.
Yeah, it's really amazing.
Where can people sign up and check out what you're doing?
Go to loveconnectionsglobal.com and just fill out an application where it says inquire now or apply now, and we'll just take a look at your profile, and if we have come across someone who we think it's a good fit, we'll try and make a connection. You basically just type in, it asks you to select, so you're looking for a localized, a nationwide, or a globalized connection. And you can also select whether you would in the future like to become an active client if you're seriously looking for love, if you'd like to be considered for a client, or you'd like to just join connections, cocktail hours and sub clubs and things like that. And we just consider all of those credentials. Also, you then can go on to share your values with us, share your wants romantically with us, and we will clearly take that into consideration and hope that we can connect you with somebody like-minded.
So it sounds like you put people together and they can meet whenever they want and organize it themselves. Plus you have group cocktail type times online.
Actually, I have to tell you, it's not as easy as that, and I'll tell you why purposely. When people apply, we then interview them for 20 minutes. Normally in our paid service, it would be face-to-face for 2 hours, but we still want to fully vet and have singles emotionally invest in us while we get to know them. We do a few searches to kind of proof that those people are who they say they are. And then after that, they tell us a date and a time that they are available for a Skype date. We have eliminated all other options just to make it really simple and confidential. And we match the date time, so we're date coordinating, because one thing that I heard a lot as a matchmaker and a dating coach is that this dating dance that singles have been doing for so long, and probably in the last 15 years, has caused a lot of dating burnout. So singles kind of back and forth on the text, building pseudo relationships with people who aren't appropriate or right for them or have the same wants, but investing emotionally anyway, swiping left, right, up and down and chatting for weeks on end. We actually are eliminating all of that dance, and we set up the date and they show up, hopefully the best version of themselves, to a Skype date, and then they feed back and let us know how it went.
That is a lot more exciting than, well, you're meeting for the first time, fresh, rather
Yeah,
than asking the questions and doing the admin. And, you know, I've heard that a lot of people don't really even want relationships. They just love to have the chats, get the attention and the connection, and that kind of avoids the whole dating thing. But it sounds
yeah,
like you're taking that lot out and you're setting up a date, like a blind date, first time meet. And that's
yeah.
exciting. That's two people
It's
meeting rather than here's
it's
the
really
admin.
Yeah, it's really interesting because it's surprising how many people who are suffering dating fatigue and burnout have actually become addicted to the cycle of chatting, investing
Yeah.
financially, emotionally, and time, things not working out, and then they start again. So we wanted to really break through that barrier to connection and just make it happen in the sense that we have physically read the profiles, we've had an inkling that they might be suitable for X, Y, and Z. We then go and meet them on Skype or Zoom, and then we make an introduction where they can't see each other's emails. We send it to ourselves saying, Joe, Joanna, meet Joe. Here's why we matchmakers have found you to be compatible. Here's the values that we think you both ooze, that you seem to be on the same wavelength about. We think that you would be a good connection. We don't call it a match because we don't decide. They get to decide if they're a match.
Yeah.
We think they're a good connection, and we're really trying to shake up the offline dating space by removing the word match and matchmaking. We're trying to call it connection, because so many apps say it's a match, and then you get your hopes up instantaneously because you think all those endorphins where you're like, oh my gosh, this could be the love of my life. No, why don't you have a conversation and connect, and then you get to decide if you're a match. So then we tell them the date, the time of the date, and we just share their Skype address, and they really have no other information to go on other than what we tell them. We don't share profiles the way a lot of people do. We try to remove the visual and just let them have a chat. We've seen 5-hour dates to people on their 5th Zoom date now, or Skype date. So
Wow.
it's really amazing.
That sounds cutting edge, revolutionary. It sounds like depth, and it sounds like it leaves space for humans and hearts as well.
It's just so simple though, isn't it, Kenny?
Yeah.
It's really simple. And what about you? What have you found in the way of connection during this time?
So in my first week of lockdown, to be honest, I'll tell you the full truth, actually. I had flashbacks. I had flashbacks straight away to my childhood. And the flashbacks were when my family had to isolate because we were on the Secret Service death list in Uganda. So it's like suddenly as a family we're contaminated, our phones are tapped, we're being followed, and anyone who comes in contact with us might be in trouble. So it tapped into that as if I might be carrying an illness, I don't want to pass it on. I might be dangerous to people. I mean, I haven't had any symptoms. I think, I might have had it months ago. Who knows? But it tapped into that. And then it tapped into a week later when we went into isolation. I recognized this. And I was straight back into when we had curfew, when the military were around, and it was that level. And there was a part of me that was waiting for rumors of where there are, bazookas or whatever, war machines, and almost like listening out for gunfire because it was very near us where we lived in Uganda. So I tapped straight back into that. The weird thing is, I noticed it rather than being triggered by it. I didn't freak out. I didn't feel, oh my God, I'm not safe running around. I phoned my mother, father, and aunt to say, this is what's going on, just so they know that if something comes up with them, it might not be logical, but it might be emotional. They might be triggered, and they were the adults. So the things they went through were pretty horrendous. And interestingly, my mother said, well, that's strange because I've been really quite upset and anxious about my brother. And it was for, a couple of vaguely understandable reasons. But what she realized is she used the anxiety that was tapped unconsciously to make a story up to justify this feeling. Straight away, my mother's a sharp cookie. Straight away, she realized that it's not about this, but she was feeling the same stuff. And as soon as she felt it, and she realized not only are we safe, but we've survived, and we are living a very, very good life now, everything's good. So I thought, well, if this is what's going on with me, I need to make sure that other people are okay with this, because everyone's, you know, my story is relatively dramatic, but it doesn't matter what it triggers. If people are being isolated, then it might be one of my clients used to be abused, taunted, whatever, and then locked into the laundry room. And he would, as a very young child, and he would go bonkers and it would break his spirit. It might be when kids are sent to boarding school. It might be when, you know, whether it's lockup or helplessness or a family going bankrupt or whatever it is, a bully, a local bully, and it's not safe to go out. It could be different things for different people. So straight away, I thought, I need to put on daily men's groups every day so men can check in and be clear about whatever's been triggered. Firstly, how are they now? Secondly, what's been triggered? Thirdly, how to manage it. And a lot of this is people listening to each other and getting what's going on. And my intention was to take the edge off whatever's triggered so people don't harm themselves or other people by whatever it is that's kind of like rouse them. And very often, if it's sadness, then it's going to be protected by anger. If it's fear, then it might come out as anger, or instead of going out as anger, it might go in as depression. And people aren't used to this separation. And there might be a mass hysteria of what's going on. We're going to go bankrupt. We need to hoard on toilet paper and tinned fish and buy all the food and what, you know. And I thought this needs to be made safe. So every day, between 12:30 and 1:30, there have been men, mainly from the UK, but from all over the world, including a student from Bhutan of all things, who have checked in and basically said, this is how I feel, this is what's going on, and this is where I am. And we've been able to sit with it, take the edge off it, because a lot of people don't have anywhere to speak it out. And if it's spoken out, then it's no longer this heavy thing that's being carried. It's almost separate, so people can see it. So the men have been able to speak out in a nutshell. This is what's going on, and get it and live much, much, much better lives. And the clients I've worked with privately, the depth that we have gone to, the dark places, the memories, this isolation has been golden to open up a space for people to go deep into their psyche, clear out whatever needs to be clear out. You know, that's the same way that people have been decluttering their homes. A lot of men I've worked with have been totally decluttering their lives and available to so much more. It's been a fundamental shift. So I think similar to you, I've been giving it away. It's by donation. I hope to launch the charity soon and pass the ebook on so people can run their own groups or whatever. But it has been all hands on deck, time to serve and be safe.
You know, listening to you, Kenny, one thing has really become apparent to me between you and I, and the similarities, that we really live our purpose professionally, and we are being of service and serving those that need right now, because it's really our purpose and our passion. So I wanted to ask you, for so many people who do jobs that they don't love and live a life that isn't serving them or growing them, who perhaps are cooped up right now and feeling a sense of not having purpose, or a purposeless, they're in a purposeless space in their mind, what would you advise them to kind of bring themselves to purpose right now?
3 lists off the top of my head. First list is needs. And so many people aren't clear about what their needs are. And the needs might be to feel safe, or X amount of money, or to be in a safe environment that brings out the best in them, or to express certain skills, or to make a difference in the world, whatever it is. It really doesn't matter, but get all the needs out, because then you've got a basic backbone checklist. And then those needs are going to be, right, now I know what I wish to achieve, rather than maybe one day. It doesn't matter, my needs never get met. Meanwhile, I don't know what the needs are, so of course they're not going to get met. So the first one I'd say is needs. The second one is another list, but this list is all the times that you felt you've come alive. And it could be anything from winning a race, to getting an award, to helping a little old lady across the street, to pulling a team together, or pulling off an event, or coming up with an idea, or, you know, it really doesn't matter. It could be something corporate, it could be something personal, it could be something that's touched your heart. But all the peaks, it could be, you know, being the best at swimming, it really doesn't matter. But get the peaks down, because these feelings are who you are. Who you are is the best that you've been, and that's what needs to be built on. Where people kind of think, well, who I am is the front that I need to put to people so they like me and I won't be rejected or abandoned or humiliated. That's got nothing to do with you. That's am I. That's, am I safe? Am I popular? Am I going to be liked? Am I going to be humiliated? Who you are is the I am. I am in alignment with myself in all my glory. From that day that I won the bike race when I was in school, because even with my crappy bike, I pedaled like crazy and I won that race, and that felt so good. That's more who you are. So in alignment with yourself, and then extending in the world from there, because you need to be included in your own life. And if you don't include you, then how can anyone else include you? And I'd say this goes for the talk that goes not just out to other people, but in your head. If you talk nicely to yourself and treat yourself well rather than critically, then the world is allowed to collude with that. But if you put yourself down and tell yourself, I'm not good enough, what's wrong with me, I need to fix me, then you're going to be putting that out into the world and demanding that life proves that you're right. So,
you know what? You're so accurate. I read a couple of days ago that the way you speak to yourself, I think we put it out on our Instagram, the way you speak to yourself really, really matters. And I think in this time of all times, I think we really need to be having really kind conversations with ourselves. And I think with those lists that you're suggesting, to get really present with who we are, what we want, and what we need, for these kind of connections and conversations that you have with others, it will really help you find the most authentic space to share.
exactly.
I think.
And I think authentic for me needs to be present and connected. It's got to be here and now. So fears of the future, fantasies of the future that are negative, surviving things from the past, none of this leaves space for who you are here and now. And I would say, and what I've witnessed in life, pretty much with everyone I've worked with, is what they've thought hasn't worked anything out. The doing and the action hasn't really got much done unless it comes from the being first. So I would say, get clear with everything that you're thinking and doing in this life review that's like God-given miracle. Get clear about, is this true here and now? And if it's not, take a deep breath and let it go, because it's time to get up to date. Whoever called you whatever it was in the playground, or however you were treated around the wrong boardroom table, or whatever it is that you did wrong, it's not who you are. These are incidents that don't define you. So get present with who you are here and now, and get yourself up to date. Build on the peaks. Let go of whatever is no longer true. And from this presence, notice how you feel, notice what comes up, breathe by anything. So I believe that the way to let things by are laughing, crying, speaking them out, and moving. Whatever you need to do, shift it. shift the old stuff that you don't want past, and make space for who you are to show up. And then I believe, and this might be a little bit cosmic, but hey, then I believe that the vibe that I put out into the world is different. And I wonder from there which opportunities and situations and coincidences, same works on with dating, same works with any relationship, who and what will be attracted. And I'm not saying just sit at home waiting, but yeah, go on LinkedIn, communicate with the companies that have the values that match yours. Communicate through LinkedIn and do some searches. Communicate through people that you know who might know someone, and say, look, this is who I am. This is what I want. This is the next step I want to take. I've no idea how it's going to happen, but make magic with me. So I believe change the vibe that's going out and get up to date with yourself. And
I love that, what you said before, and I think I will absolutely take that with me after this call, is to laugh, cry, speak, and move.
it works.
I mean, if we all kind of like go with that mantra every single day, in our good days, our tough days, our ups and downs, it feels like we can really make it through this. We might thrive rather than just, I guess, survive.
Do you know, my old addiction was between my ears. I was so addicted to thinking and second guessing and pretending to be in control and working things out. To be frank, I never actually worked anything out. I wasn't even that good at crossing roads. It was just me pretending to be in control. And I needed to admit that being in my head keeps me in panic, and it takes me away from any connection with anyone, with an individual, with my work, with my purpose, with my life. I'm not available. I'm in my head. You can't feel me. You can't hurt me. You can't reach me. You can't get me. You don't understand me, and I'm surviving you. What kind of an attitude to life is that? It's not going to happen. So I needed to learn to notice when I'm lost in my head, working things out and disconnected from life in fear, because I know that when I'm in my head, I'm not breathing. Therefore, there's a certain part of me in panic. So as soon as I caught myself there, in that split second, without even thinking to the end of the sentence, I would take a deep breath in. So in is out of my head and into my body and into the present. So I'd take a deep breath in, and as I breathe in, I'd think, thank you for reminding me who I used to be. And who I used to be was surviving life and in panic and not available to any goodness. So deep breath in. Thank you for reminding me who I used to be. Thank you, because it's gratitude. That actually saved my life, probably a long time ago. And I'm probably in the same trauma thinking I need to save my life, but job done. My life has been saved, so I don't need to be there. But I need to give gratitude that behavior brought me here and used to be, so it's in the past. And when I breathe out, I take part with what's in front of me. And then I'm connected in the present. And that broke the spell.
I love that. I heard yesterday something so aligned with what you're just saying. Isn't it funny how the universe brings so many things to you at the right, appropriate, aligned time? And I heard, I think it might have been someone like Tony Robbins, it was actually, saying that we're always so stuck in our head because we're so busy negotiating with ourselves rather than just doing and being present. Yeah. And so I watched that quite late last night, and then all of a sudden I woke up this morning and I thought, I'm not negotiating with my thoughts today and with myself. And I thought I should go for a run. So I did. Normally I would talk myself out of it, got too much work to do, too many people need my responses on email, whatever. And I would talk myself out of it. I would negotiate with myself. And then this morning I thought, well, not today. If I think I need to do something, I will just do it. And I feel a million times better. And I think that really goes with your mantra of,
exactly,
moving and speaking and crying and laughing. And I think I'm going to take that forward with me, as well as not negotiating with myself, to be present and in the moment.
Do you know what? I've just remembered that in your honor, I wore my...
Oh, I love
So my
I love
love,
that.
because it's the year of the rat. It's the Chinese year of
Yes.
the rat.
Mm.
And it's like rats, well, they're not that cute very often. What kind of rat cufflinks can I get? And love rats, as far as I know, are kind of like dirty rats who aren't very connected and loving. But then it could be rat love and loving the opportunities that this year has brought. I don't know, but it felt right. And I just thought, actually, whatever it is, whatever the old sentence is on the year of the rat, I can change that in the way that I believe. Same as however I've judged myself or other people, it's like, I could change that. I could rewrite that script. I could unlearn the bad press and give it a chance. And then strangely, you know, same with my judgments, you know, rats, especially their weird long tails, they just kind of give me the creeps a bit. So every year I get a little something together. And this year, rather than a rat, I just thought I'd get a rat angel, which is a bat.
Oh,
So, you
a
know,
rat angel.
exactly. And then of all things, and someone said to me when I gave her one, but don't rats spread disease? And I thought, well, surely whatever the negative is and whatever it is that's going on in life, it's up to us to notice what life is trying to tell us. And those are the angels that are provided everywhere. If only we're present and connected, and our being will notice them and respond to that. And then of all things, what happens with COVID-19? Well, it's blamed on a bat. And I'm guessing it's like, oh my God, what's going on here? Things are going batty. And, you know, it's been full of fear, and it's been full of all sorts of badness, and full of the most incredible opportunities for people to go from hoarding to sharing, from selfishness to caring. And I've noticed that. And I've noticed the negative aspects, because the fear does come up first as a reaction, and the positive, that more and more people are giving and sharing and knowing their neighbors, even relating better to the elderly, because there's a lot of talk about the elderly need to be connected with, even physically. Now we know what it's like, a lot of us, because we never actually got it, because we were never in that situation. But there is so much, I guess this, I've been running workshops for alternatives, and it's about the 3 stages of this. The first one is, how are you here and now? What's going on? And people need to speak that out. The second stage is, what does this trigger? That's the dark shadow. What is it that you haven't finished with, that you've survived, that you haven't felt through and let go of? And the third part is the gold shadow. Now you're free of this baggage and you're so much more available to life. What can life bring, and how will you respond to it in collaboration rather than in survival? So the magic that is around us, even from sitting at home, even the way that you decided to follow your heart and go for a run, so you're present and connected to life, to today, taking care of yourself, it's magical.
Yeah, I think we can get so lost in what feels like a dark time that we can struggle to find the light. And there are so many glimmers of sparkling, shining light in this time, you know. And I think you're so right about the care that people are showing for one another. I just wish that we could all show the same kind of self-care for ourselves and for our mindsets. And I really think that it seems like you're doing a lot in that space. And hopefully, with the connections that we're making as well, it's also creating that kind of feel-good factor that people are talking.
Yeah.
In spaces that they wouldn't normally have conversations, perhaps with their closest friends or whatever. So hopefully the work that we're doing alongside people taking care of themselves and others is a bit of a light in what can feel like a dark time. But like you say, it's the way we choose to see it.
Yeah, yeah. And I didn't take care of myself. Maybe I was triggered from my childhood stuff, and I went straight into work and straight into I need to get the charity together, I need to get the website together, I need to get the ebook together, I need to put the groups on. And I sat on my exercise bench from very early in the morning, very often to very early the next morning, and I worked solid. And after a month, I had pins and needles down my left leg, and it's like, what's going on? I'm getting DVT or something. It was really scary. So I didn't take care of myself. And very often, empaths, people, fear, it doesn't leave space for that. It's panic and fix. And I guess I needed for it to be bad enough for me to think, I need to take charge of me. I've done that. It's safe and it's settled. That's what I wanted to do. It's almost like putting the fire out, or at least putting some rocks around the fire so it can't spread and it's held. And now that's done, I am really beginning to take care of myself. But I got into panic. I got into fixing it, and I got into trouble. I was moving like an old man. It was really, really scary. It was horrible.
I can't imagine that, Kenny.
Horrible.
Shame.
Yeah, totally. I'm totally shamed by that. But at least I've turned it around. And hopefully other people who are doing that and who aren't moving will listen to this and think, right, I'm going to change that now. Same with the drinking. It wasn't just toilet rolls that people were stocking up on. My God, the amount of alcohol that's been consumed in this while is absolutely amazing.
I know. And, you know, it's easy enough to have like a glass of wine or a gin and tonic a day, but you know, before you know it, when you know, hear of people saying that, you know, there's nothing else to do, you think, oh gosh, this is not good. This is it's not good, and it's not a coping mechanism that's going to see us come out stronger than before. So I think every time I think about a glass of wine, I try and do something different, like run a bubble bath and make a mint tea or something. And also we can just get into routine of creating these habits that don't serve us.
A lot of men in the check-in groups, I also still hold the open groups and the closed groups and the workshops and things like that. A lot of men have been talking about their relationship issues more than ever, past and present, and wondering what the future holds, including parents, including couples who were doing really well and suddenly they know each other at a different level and they're questioning things. And it's been very, very interesting to hear such confusion and such clarity within the confusion, because so many people have been thinking, well, actually, this isn't working. Where what I'm hearing is, right now it's not working. We're not out the other end yet. This is part of your journey as an individual and as a couple. And it's been so important to remind myself and everyone that this will pass. Everything passes. It hasn't always been like this. It won't always be like this. Let it pass. Be with it. Get to know the message that life is telling you about yourself, maybe your needs, where you're coming from. Learn to communicate and let it pass. See what wishes to emerge. But there are a lot of people who are really hitting new depths with their relationship. It's not right or wrong, good or bad. It's you're caged together. How are you going to make it work? How are you going to learn boundaries to have space for yourself so you work? How are you going to move through this? How are you going to learn to communicate with each other and really listen? So huge opportunities. And yeah, I'm quite sure there will be in 9 months' time, 8 months' time, a huge baby boom, as well as probably lots of divorces, because this is the kind of catalyst where these things will happen.
Well, you know, earlier on in the conversation where you were talking about how human beings are really missing touch, and it must be really hard for those people who are kind of cooped up on their own or not, you know, who are single or whatever. One thing that I've been talking a lot with different journalists about is intimacy, and physical intimacy at that, not just emotional, because singles seem to think that all couples are, you know, between the sheets constantly because that's all they have is time to connect in that way. Whereas a lot of couples are feeling such a weight of stress of adjusting to life, of being on top of each other, that actually they're having a lot less intimacy between the sheets than they normally would have. So it's kind of like the grass always being greener on the other side. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of strain in expectation. I think a lot of couples thought they would have time for connection and intimacy and conversation with their partners, and some are. However, a lot of people are also adjusting to a new normal, as well as the weight of the stresses of worry around the world today, people's health, their friends and family, as well as, you know, their stability financially and emotionally. So that kind of strain put on a lot of couples is creating new depth, as you say, of conversation, where people are either questioning or confirming whether they're right. And we will see a lot of make or breaks, but I think, you know, for anyone that's going to tune in that's in a relationship that's struggling right now, just know that you know, you are two individuals and you don't think the same, you don't deal with crises the same, you don't have the same reaction of fight or flight or freeze, you know, in the same way. And, you know, not everyone communicates the same. Some people are really in their thoughts right now, and some people are really vocal. It's unusual circumstances. And, you know, as long as you're taking really good care of yourself and communicating what you need and want, hopefully things will turn out the way they should.
Mm-hmm.
The way they should. And yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
I wonder how well people have got to know themselves, their partners, their children, and how many didn't actually know who they were and who their families were. It's a very, very different situation. And one huge thing that I've come across is couples finally talking about, we don't have to have sex all the time. Do you actually want sex now? Do I actually want sex now? Are we allowed to just be happy and be intimate? And I think, as you said before, there were a lot of people, it was the only time and space they had to connect. So that was the connection fix. Now it's a lot more, I mean, as much sex as anyone wants. It's not about don't do it, but do it because you want to be with it and share it and express it, rather than this is it, rather than computer says for the next hour, this is what we need to do. And then I'm up at this time, and then I do that in the morning, and then you do that. And you know, there's space.
Yeah.
There's space for love. There's space for exploration. There's space for communication. There's space to evaluate and change and grow into everything. And I would say this incredible space gives our worlds as individuals an opportunity to re-emerge into the world as differently as we want to. Very often people change, but unless they've been traveling or been through some sort of a major illness or breakdown or whatever, their friends and family and communities and work colleagues and whoever won't really let them change, because it's like, well, this is how we know you. This is who you really are. What are you doing? You'll be back to normal like we always have been soon. Now we've all been away from life and we're getting to know who we are, hopefully. Once you know, reintroduce yourself with who you really are, because now the world will allow change for you, for me, for everyone. How could we not take that opportunity?
You're so right. It is such an opportunity for change. You know, the brakes have been put on so many things, and the world needs a lot of change right now, actually. And I think with every spot of adversity that we experience comes an opportunity, and this is the opportunity now to get to know oneself and get to know what we don't want, as well as what we've been saying yes to that we really should have been saying no to create our boundaries. And you know, and actually this is a space to realize how precious and fragile life is, and if we're not living life the way that we want to, or the way that we feel, and we're feeling resistance to what it is that we're currently doing or have been doing out there in the world and it's not serving us, then now is the time to shake it up and change it up, because
Yeah.
we want to show up as our best selves and really hit the ground running thereafter. Yeah, it's exploration, isn't it? And I think that's really a key word that I would take away from this conversation: exploring what we want and what we don't want, as well as what our relationships are bringing to the table, what we're bringing to the table in our relationships, and how we're communicating that, as well as exploring what we want for our futures. When would we ever have time to sit and stop and think?
Exactly.
We're always complaining about attaching ourselves to the word busy and getting comfortable with busy. And so I didn't get back to that email, I was just so busy. So I haven't seen you in a few weeks for dinner, I've just been so busy. And we've just become so attached to busyness that busyness is now broken, and we can't use that as an excuse for not taking time.
I love that term. Busyness is now broken. It's an reevaluation of whose life is this and how do I wish to live it, beyond all the razzmatazz and the panic. So yeah, what a relief.
Only you and I would have a conversation about being in lockdown, saying what a relief.
So I can't wait to send some really excellent men your way.
Oh, do. I mean, we've got some exceptional connectors. I'm not going to call them singles, connectors. People that really authentically want to be their best selves, their most vulnerable selves, their most authentic selves in this time. And you were saying before about, the chit-chatting for a long while. Actually, if you do connect with someone during this time, romantically speaking, that you feel a pull to, you can really enjoy the courtship for a long while, because lust really can cloud our vision, and physical touch can really take away how we feel emotionally, because we're thinking about the physical aspect. But now we can have these deep, meaningful conversations and, potentially connect with someone who could be your certain someone. So I would be delighted to meet anybody that wants to get connected. That's what I'm here for.
Great. So again, what's the website?
Loveconnectionsglobal.com.
Loveconnectionsglobal.com. And my new site, and you can find out about the daily check-ins, as well as the weekly groups, and I've been training a lot of people to hold their own groups, mensgroups.co.uk.
Mensgroups.co.uk. Okay.
I've also been really quite delightfully insulted by a lot of new clients and people, because my own website is abysmal. It's terrible, it's ugly, it's horrible. And I kind of thought,
you're about people, you're not about tech.
I should be doing that. I've got help. I've got more help now. But if you wish to get to know yourself better and be clear about your past and your present and opportunities, I've got a free personal discovery questionnaire. And it's hidden somewhere on my crap website, themanwhisperer.co.uk, or email me and I'll send it through to you. It's a lot of questions in a certain way that ask about the past and ask about the present and aspirate. And it's like, it gets the story out. So you are no longer restricted by the old story. And by looking at your story, it's who keeps repeating, what keeps repeating, what are the cycles, where did this come from, is this true, what's the belief system behind this? So it's a way to get to know yourself and set yourself free.
And I've got a question about your daily check-ins. Is that as a group of people that you are currently taking on this journey, or they're taking themselves and you're joining them, I guess? Are they checking in with you as a group, or is it a one-to-one check-in? How does that work?
It's men from all over the world. Sometimes, very often, people I've never met before. They hear about the groups and they need to check in. And it is on a Zoom call. And some of the people I've trained, so we don't have a huge group. We spend 2 minutes together in the beginning, 10 minutes together at the end, and then we break off into smaller rooms. And everyone, including the facilitators, checks in and says how they feel, what's going on. They ask for whatever it is that they're carrying, to get some space just to say this is what's going on. If they need to learn how other people have navigated this, they get some inspiration from other people. It's not coaching, it's not therapy, it's not fixing or telling. It's old-fashioned hanging out, saying this is what's going on, and communicating. People get heard, people get real, and people get equipped to be able to respond to life without the panic and the isolation. It's absolutely magical how much we cover and how intimate it gets in an hour. So yeah, everyone's
I can only imagine. I mean, look at our conversations, how much ground we covered. Just have a quick catch up, and what have you been doing? And you know, we never keep it on the surface, do we, Kenny?
So nice to see. It's been a long time, eh?
It actually has been a long time, and I guess you and I, like, you know, like old friends, the way it works is we always connect so authentically that it doesn't really matter how much time has passed. It just feels like yesterday we spoke, and
yeah,
it has been a long time, and that it's been a few months actually, and I guess for some people it's all relative, but for us that's quite a long time, isn't it?
and it's quality.
Yeah.
And that's what matters, depth of quality. And I wonder whether that's what people get when you connect them up. And same in my check-ins, is it's quality. It doesn't have to be, let's get to know each other for months or years and keep in touch and become another task that needs to be done. It's checking in with quality. Good old-fashioned unconditional love.
Oh, I love that. And thank you so much for having me today. And thank you so much for just chatting with me during this time. I mean, it's just so refreshing, isn't it, to have real conversations? Love it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm so chuffed at what we're both doing, actually, because I didn't know that you were doing this. I love the way that we're just stepping up to serve because it's time. I did cringe a bit because a lot of people did the, how can I make some money out of this one?
Oh.
And also, can't blame people being scared. It's like, I might be able to make a buck. I need to take care of my assets and build a business. It's what everyone's going to do. Can't blame them. Fear can come before love. And some people are just wired that way. It's not bad. It's just different.
It's survival, isn't it? And I guess one of our mantras in business, or mine particularly, has always been follow your purpose and your passion, and any profit will come thereafter.
Yeah.
And so during this time, I didn't think about how the business businesses were going to survive. I just thought, how can we be of service, and how can we bring about connection for those who need it most? And I think this is how people remember you, how you showed up in times when they were so trying, and what you did to serve others, rather than what did you do for yourself to survive. I really believe that. Follow your purpose and your passion, and anything will come thereafter. It's like karma, isn't it? It comes back around.
Yeah. Follow your heart and live your truth.
Thank you so much, Kenny Mammarella de Cruz.
I will see you when I see you.
Yes, hopefully soon.
Yeah. Well, now we're reconnected and we know what we're doing. It's like, yeah, it'll happen.
Yes.
Good. Catch you soon. Bye.
Bye.